Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now the whole team here. Yeah, started from the bottom, now we're here. Everyone has to start from somewhere. Welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, High Guidance, and that is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, with that being said, because there's no right or wrong way to heal yourself, always and only take what resonates as well as leave the rest. So if it does not apply, then that means it's not aligned, which means it is not for you. So don't force it, as well as grab your pens, grab your paper, and be prepared to take notes. For this video, we're going to talk about how it's not cringy for trying and putting yourself out there, and how you have to start from somewhere, as well as some recommendations, some reminders, some disclaimers, and just certain things that you need to be aware of. So started from the bottom, now we're here. Starting off with the first disclaimer. You believing in yourself is not cringy. You wanting to do things that have never been done before is not impossible. You just have to realize that if you want something, you have to be willing to do what you need to do in order for you to receive it. And before you scroll, or before you say I know, or it sounds like cliche, nothing in life is cliche. If people are telling you something from experience, they know because they've learned from it themselves or they've attempted. You wanting to do something is not unheard of. Now, it may be unfamiliar to you because maybe you've never done it before. Maybe the people around you, maybe, you live in an environment where you didn't have certain resources or certain tools or proper education or proper finances to invest into yourself. But just because in the beginning you may not have had everything figured out doesn't mean that you are incapable of doing it. So the second disclaimer is knowing that if you want to do something, you have to be willing to educate yourself. You have to be willing to make the necessary changes. You have to be willing to inform yourself and network and surround yourself and associate yourself with these people and these places and things. You don't need to be focusing on people and places and things who have not done the things that you want to do. You don't need to listen to them, and most importantly, you don't need to seek validation from them. A lot of times people are seeking validation from people subconsciously because they've been suppressed, they haven't been liked, or they wanted to be like these people, not realizing that sometimes when people make fun of you or judge you without them knowing you or thinking that they're better than you, these people are followers, these people are lost, and they don't even know how to do things themselves. Like, don't listen to people make fun of you or mock you when you are trying. It's never been cool to make fun of people for trying. Shout out to A$AP Rocky. And it's funny how I said Drake and then I said A$AP Rocky. Over here, we don't pick sides, we don't do beefs. We respect people individually, okay? Because you can't compare people who are not even equal to each other, because nobody's the same. But anyways, you need to know that if you want to be the first person in your family to break generational cycles from poverty, it's not impossible. If you want to be the first person in your family who furthers your education by going to school and getting your degrees and your diplomas and certificates and your doctorates and your bachelors and your associates, it's not impossible. If you want to sit here and stop living in, let's just say, a trailer or an apartment or, a shelter and buy your own house or your own townhouse, you're able to do that. Like, you have to know the world is way too big for you to be thinking small and to surround yourself with small people. So the fourth disclaimer is knowing that as you are figuring out what it is that you want in your life, you are being excited. A lot of times we talk about going through trials and tribulations and having to show up, but I want to talk about specifically learning to be excited and keeping that energy. Now, this doesn't mean that when you start something that, of course, you're not going to be excited because you're doing it and that you may not experience adversity or challenges, but learning to just still be in that same energy of where you started will help you stay focused. And we're going to talk about that, a part of the recommendations, but learn to be excited. And I'm speaking from experience. What has helped me along my healing journey was to continue to be excited about things that I wanted. So therefore, it doesn't seem like it's draining or it's so tedious or that it's hard and difficult, because I'm a firm believer that nothing has to be hard or difficult. Things do not have to be as challenging as people project and deflect. And I don't like when people overcomplicate things. So if you want to be the first person to get yourself out of poverty, I'm not going to say that it's going to be hard and difficult. It's just going to be something that you need to do. Because once you make up in your mind that, oh, this is going to be hard, this is going to be difficult, that is going to be your experience. No, it's just unfamiliar. You're just not used to doing it. So you may be uneducated, you may be unaware, you may be unsure, but those are not permanent factors. You don't have to stay uneducated just because you didn't grow up with certain education. You don't have to stay poor just because you didn't grow up exposed to finances. You could become financially literate. You can invest into an accountant. You can invest into people who can inform you and educate you on those type of things and those topics. So learning to be excited, learning to keep that energy is also going to help you continue to do the things you need to do. So lastly, before we get into the recommendations, because I basically just brought it up, knowing that as long as you continue to show up for yourself, you're going to see results. You're going to make progress. Now, it may not always be immediate, and you have to let go of wanting things to happen immediately and expeditiously. Shout out to T.I. I'm just naming all these rappers because it's like, if you have not done something before, you don't know how long it's going to take. So having these expectations is only going to lead you to disappointment. And when you're disappointed, a lot of times you feel like discouraged, and you're not going to want to get up, and you're not going to want to continue to show up. And that's what we don't need. We don't need to burn ourselves out. So the first recommendation is just being honest about what it is that you want and why. And your why has to be stronger than any emotion, any fear, or any doubt. Until your why, until you have a reason, until you move intentionally with purpose, don't fix your lips about you not having certain things, and don't fix your face about you not getting where you need to be or wanting the things that you want. Because you need to know, like, until you have that oomph, until you have that stamina, until you have that confidence, until you have that faith, you're constantly going to be wobbling. You're constantly going to have to start and then stop, start and then stop, start and then stop. The goal is to start something and see it all the way through. Hustlers don't stop, they keep going. Shout out to Young Thug, okay? You can't say that you're going to do something and then not do it. Now, of course, the second recommendation, you may not have everything figured out. I'm not saying that obviously you getting yourself out of poverty, like I said, is not going to take years, sometimes even months or weeks, because mentally you have to change, emotionally you have to change how you feel about money. You may physically have to remove yourself from certain environments or certain people, places, and things. You may have to stop listening to people who maybe live paycheck to paycheck or who are not used to a certain tax bracket or a certain salary. Nobody's saying that you don't have to invest into yourself or make those changes, but you need to know, if this is what I want, are you willing to make the necessary changes? And you need to answer that question and put that in your notes. Are you willing to get yourself out of poverty by working 2 jobs? Are you willing to take public transportation? If you physically want to become healthier, are you willing to exercise? Are you willing to cut off Pringles? Are you willing to cut off junk food? Are you willing to stop eating out every single day? Are you willing to exercise an hour for 4 times a week, 3 times a week? Are you willing to invest into a personal trainer? If you want to heal yourself from psychological trauma from your childhood, are you willing to go no contact? Are you willing to talk about how your predators made you feel? Are you willing to talk about how you felt? Are you willing to acknowledge that you didn't know any better? Are you willing to accept your anger instead of you trying to deny it? Or are you willing to stop making excuses for people? If people are like, well, how come you don't talk to your mom? How come you don't talk to that dad? How come you don't talk to that uncle when they hurt and harm you? Are you willing to let them know that your peace is more important? You want to be in a healthy relationship. Are you willing to accept that you're going to have to compromise? You're going to have to meet your partner where they are. You're going to have to maybe go to a marriage counselor. If you want to be a millionaire, are you willing to take maybe 3-5 years without getting paid to get the money that you want in the future? We have to be honest with ourselves. So just because we're, like I said, just because we're starting from the bottom, just because we're starting from the beginning, doesn't mean it's difficult. It's just you're starting from somewhere. And you have to realize that if your goal is any of those things, you had to start from somewhere. If you want to lose weight, in order for you to lose the weight, you have to have exercise. You had to change your diet. You have to eat healthier. If you want to be financially literate, you want to be financially stable, you may have to have worked 2 jobs, 3 jobs. You may have to work 2 years, no vacation, 3 years, no vacation, 4 years without getting paid. You may have to take money from the loan. You may be in debt for a while. It's not permanent, but it's a part of what it is that you want. And this is why the first recommendation is not to say it's not more important than the rest of the recommendations, but it's like, what do you want? What do you want, like, seriously? And over here, as your favorite mental health specialist on this account, who motivates, informs, and educates, I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. I'm telling you from experience. And I too, you guys, I watch my videos, I take my advice. I'm letting you know, like, I had to figure out what I wanted, and I had to focus on it, and I couldn't continue to stop until I got to where I needed to be, until I got what I wanted. I couldn't make excuses, and despite of how I felt, I still had to show up. And that's the fourth recommendation. Learning how to deal with your emotions, learning how to control your reactions, learning how to still take the time for yourself without overworking yourself or feeling overwhelmed. So knowing when you needed to work, knowing when you needed to rest, knowing when you needed to take time for yourself. So the fifth recommendation is knowing when to evaluate certain chapters and certain lessons in your life, as well as knowing when to either fall back or when to move forward. Because just because you have a goal, like I said, of losing weight, becoming healthier, becoming financially stable, going to school, getting your degrees, doesn't mean that you're not going to experience adversity, or that you're not going to have to go through certain things while you're becoming those things, or even becoming an entrepreneur. But just knowing what you need to continue to focus on and what you don't. Because it's like, the only reason why people say things are difficult, hard, and challenging is because they're either not prepared or they've never done it before. If you want to go to school and you know that the requirements are studying and taking exams and having to write essays, and that's what you said you wanted to do, why would it be hard? Why would it be difficult? If you knew that you wanted to become the first person in your family to become financially literate, but you had to work 2 jobs, you had to take public transportation, why wouldn't you do that? If you knew that you wanted to start a business and you don't have the community or the finances, that you have to get a loan and you may be in debt for a year or a couple of months, but you knew that once you invested into this business, you were going to be able to make the money back. Oops, excuse me, you guys. I just have this drink. I don't know if you guys can see it. I don't want to spill it, but I just had something in my cup. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see. Oh my god, I dropped it. But like, if you had a loan and you, like I said, made the money back, you have to be okay with that. Like, learning to try it and learning to invest into yourself is what's gonna help you continue to be successful. Because it's like, we have to understand that if we want certain things in our life, it's going to require certain things. And this is why it's so important, before you, like I said, fix your face, or you have an attitude, or you're quick to give up, you just need to ask yourself, am I willing to provide what is asked of me and what is required? This is why it's so important to take your time when you make decisions, as well as what you want, because as you're learning to get better, as you continue to make the necessary changes, you're going to see what's working, you're going to see what's not, you're going to see what you need to continue to invest into. And you may need help sometimes. You may not always be able to do everything that you want to do yourself. So it's really important that you're asking for help, you're seeking assistance. And like I said, if somebody doesn't want to help you, don't be discouraged. If somebody wants to withhold support, they're not the people that are for you. So if you don't have the resources and you don't have the tools, and you have to start from the bottom by yourself, you have to be willing to get your shovel, and you have to be willing to get out the mud. Because not everyone is going to be there to support you in the beginning. Not everyone has the capacity, and some people don't want to. You have to still be able to show up. You guys, like, this is my second YouTube channel. If you're OG, you know that. If you're not, when I first started, nobody was supporting me. And it's not because I didn't deserve to be supported, but it's like this vision was given to me. The people who are meant to be a part of it, of course, now those of you who have your notifications on and always subscribing and always engaging and always, you know, letting me know what works for you, I'm grateful and I'm thankful for you. But before I even had people to comment, like, and engage, I had to have the idea to make this account. This is my second account when it comes to mental health and healing, but I had to be the one to start from somewhere. I couldn't be upset that certain people that I'm outgrowing don't want to support me for whatever reasons, whether people withheld support or not. Because when people withheld support, what could you do? People want you to stay down. Another thing too, when I didn't have people supporting me, I've had a lot of people talk about, oh, you should do this. And still to this day, you guys, I have people DM me and email me, and it's just like, if it's so easy and if everyone can do it, why don't you do it? Because my thing is, I don't take advice from people who are not willing to invest into me or who do what I do at the rate that I do. So if you're not posting over 1,100 plus videos within a year or 2 years, I'm not listening to you. If you're not willing to edit and upload and come up with content and come up with the topics and come up with ideas and record and use the resources that you have, and you feel like you're better than people, you don't have to listen to them. Imagine how many times, you guys, I've had people watch my videos, never like, never comment, never engage, but always have something to say. I'm not worried about them, and I can't depend on them. I post my videos for me. This account, is for you watching this, but it's also for me too. It has my name on it. I'm the CEO. I'm the brand behind this. You can't depend on people who don't depend on themselves. That's why it's so important that you do start from somewhere. Everyone starts from zero. Before I was able to reach 500 followers, or whenever you're watching this, how many of your followers that I have now, I started with none. And I don't need likes to determine my worth, because people are watching. And that's the same thing with you. Like, you don't always need external validation. You don't need people to be like, oh, you're doing a good job, or oh, you're doing a bad job. Do it for you. Because when you start something for you and you believe in you and this is what you genuinely want, why would you not get it? So with that being said, I don't want to make the video too much longer. Make sure you're liking, commenting, engaging. Let me know what you want to talk about, what resonated with you, what you need to work on, as well as follow me on my social media platforms if I haven't already plugged that already. All the information is down in the description box below. And if you're interested in a service in your session, click the link in my description. But if you're having like technical difficulties, drop the word website. If not, head to Instagram and on TikTok. I will be live talking about this in real time. But you're not alone. I love you. You're loved. Thanks for watching. Until next time. Peace.